Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Burke County Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting for Tuesday, February the 6th at 3 p.m. Madam Clerk, all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Mulvey, who is out of town. And so I will call the meeting to order. Remind everyone to please silence your mobile devices at this time. And if you come to the lectern to speak, please be sure the red light is on and the microphone is in order. Also present is our finance officer, county manager, and attorney. Thank you for helping us this afternoon in the absence of Madam Clerk. So, thank you. All right, gentlemen, you have the agenda in front of you, and you've had it in advance. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by uplifting the hand. That is all of us, 4-0. Have several presentations to consider today. I have the Pet of the Month presentation by Will Brown, Animal Enforcement Supervisor. Will, you got anything for us today?
Thanks for having us back. We'll present a cat and a dog as our pet of the month and update you on any current activities or events we have taking place. We currently have 23 dogs and 22 cats in our shelter at this time. And that's all I have because I just got volunteered to do this just a couple minutes ago.
All right, done a fine job. Any questions for Will? All right, thank you for being
Yes,
here.
sir.
Without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. Second item is Tourism Development Association. This comes for the period ending December 31, 2023. And Margaret's going to present that information. What you got, Margaret?
Good afternoon. Ed sent his regrets. He's ended up ill, and we wanted him to keep his germs at home. So I have his report for you in front of you. He will do more at the meeting in a few weeks to tell you about TDA. If you've not had an opportunity, I encourage you to go see that beautiful building they've redone. It is a wonderful place for our visitors to come into to get information. Revenue and expenditures are running right on target for the year. Tourism is, occupancy taxes a little bit lower than last year, but we had a significant number of, with the hospital transition stays related to that we feel comfortable that the decline is expected. Question?
All right. Gentlemen, you've had a chance to look at that report. Any questions to refer back to Mr. Ed? No. All right, thank you, Margaret. Without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. Item number 3 comes from the Chamber of Commerce. Proclamation declaring March the 20th through the 27th, 2024 as Spring Litter Sweep. This will be presented by Tanya Stevenson, our executive for the Chamber. Afternoon, Tanya.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the county's support for our litter sweep every year. We're getting ready to have our 3rd annual litter sweep on March 20th through the 27th. We partner with Republic Services for this, and we've had pretty good success so far. Last year, our litter sweep had 241 registrants. We picked up 239 bags of trash, 24 bags of recyclables, which we had added last year, and then 14 plus large items like a sofa and tires and things like that. So we did a lot to get our streets, tried to get our streets cleaned up. We do give away cash prizes. First place winner gets $500, second place gets $250, and third place gets $100. And we need everybody's support to help with this issue that our county faces. So we're looking for youth groups and Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout troops, companies to get the people together. Anybody and 2 friends could come together and pick up trash and have a potential of winning a prize. And we would greatly appreciate if the commissioners would proclaim March 20th through 27th as the Burke County Chamber of Commerce Litter Sweep Week.
All right, thank you, Tanya. Any questions for Tanya on this subject? All right, well, we're looking forward to a good cleanup week, and without objection, this item will remain on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item comes from the county manager, post revaluation tax rate analysis, and this is a placeholder, but we'll see Mr. Manager has any comments today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As we kick off the budget process for our upcoming fiscal year, and your policy setting and budget retreat is now scheduled for the first week of March, it's a good time, I think, to reflect on how our current budget is performing. In front of you have your mid-year report, which has some data to help outline some of those objectives and performance. But I think it's also good to reflect on, now that the dust has settled, how our 2023 revaluation process has concluded. As you all know, last year, about 13 or 14 months ago at this point, the North Carolina Department of Revenue, to stay compliant with taxation regulations, we had to perform a revaluation, which requires us to look at all the real property, land and building structures in Burke County, and adjust the tax values to market values. We all know we saw a unprecedented increase in property tax values, and that really gave this board the opportunity to evaluate your property tax rate in a way to not shift an increased taxing burden to your taxpayers. And so, again, as we kick off the budget process for this year, I'd like to just take a few moments and update you on how that went, and provide a little bit of information. You all seen this slide many times. I just think that it's important to highlight that we are, as an organization, led by our Board of Commissioners, pursuing a culture of high performance, which is data-driven and outcomes-based, and pushing that tax rate down as low as possible while delivering results through our operational departments is one way to measure high performance. Taxation, we all know, is a difficult conversation, but through the lens of creating value, I think that we can justify the price that we're asking our taxpayers to support. One thing that I think is objective as a deliverable, as I mentioned, you were able to adjust your tax rate down last year, July 1st, from 69.5 cents to 56 cents. That's about a 13.5 cent tax rate decrease. That's roughly 20%, so which is unprecedented. To think that you reduced the tax rate by 20% in 1 year is really remarkable. And that took Burke County government from the 58th lowest tax rate in North Carolina to the 28th. So literally in North Carolina today, there's only 27 counties who have a lower tax rate than this board. The way that's been accomplished, as you're all well aware, is through managed spend. So when we look at the Local Government Commission, which is the financial oversight body for all counties in North Carolina, really all municipalities, we have benchmarking peers. So these are counties in North Carolina that have similar populations, similar socioeconomics, similar responsibilities and organizational sizes. And when we measure our total spend in our general fund, which is the fund that is supported primarily by our taxing revenues, we can see that we consistently, going back over the last 4 fiscal years, but even further than that, simply are able to accomplish our goals by spending less. I like to talk a lot about having an entrepreneurial mindset in the public sector. In any business, when you buy their product, they tell you the price. And I think that we can really look through the same lens. So that's what I've tried to do here, is to go through and articulate what are we offering and what is the corresponding price. So for example, at the top of this chart, you'll see 911 communications, roughly $23 per capita. That means the average person in Burke County pays $23 per year, $1.90 per month, to ensure that they have 24/7, 365 days a year, professional coverage from a 911 telecommunicator, that we're adequately investing into the technology needed to meet those needs, and so forth and so on for the rest of our services that we provide. And when you, what's excluded in that is volunteer fire, solid waste, and water sewer, which we all know are fundamentally different types of funds. But when you cumulatively add up all of those per capita costs, it equates to about $622 per person, and we call that the taxing burden. So what is the average person asked to pay to support local government? And
take a moment and talk about the middle. Go back to the slide. Let's talk about the middle row just a moment.
So in the middle column here, In North Carolina, there's really two compartments that county governments can sue. There's mandated services, things like 911 communications. Burke County has no discretion. The Board of Commissioners has no discretion on whether you offer 911 services. That is something that is mandated through the state, and this is the applicable statute that requires that. Then there are authorizing statutes. So these are statutes that you can say, based on your community need, based on local policy, based on local leadership of the Board of Commissioners, here are services that you may offer. So this first slide are services that are in departments that are required to be offered. This second slide are value add propositions that this board annually from a policy level decides to fund. Does that answer your question, Commissioner? So we talked about the revaluation process. Again, the concept here is, as we all know, real property, which is again land, whether it's improved or unimproved, and buildings and structures, their tax value only change during a revaluation period, which is typically every 4 to 6 years. In those off years, the value literally stays the same. Clearly, market value changes regularly because market is determined by, in terms of money, the price that someone's willing to pay to acquire property, right? So if I want to sell a piece of property and someone wants to buy it, and we negotiate a price, that's the market value, which is changing constantly based on supply and demand, based on things like interest rates that we've seen over the last year. So this revaluation period is really a reconciliation of tax values being adjusted, excuse me, to market. And that's what we saw. The reason we did it in 2023, as we all know, is because our sales ratio, this measure of market compared to tax value, was about 40% out. And the statute, the law says, if you're more than 15% over or under, then you have to do this reconciliation. That wasn't unique to us. That really happened all across the region. Here's just looking at McDowell, Catawba, Cleveland, and Lincoln, similar counties to us. And again, as I explained, really, I think what most people are concerned about is how much taxes do I have to pay? What is the taxing burden on me, on my family? And I would tell you that that's the product of an equation with two variables. What is the value and what is the rate? And as values increase, that inherently provides legislators, you all, with the opportunity to reduce the tax rate, to again, remove the burden from increasing the taxing burden to the average consumer. And that's what you were able to do. So here I've put together, obviously there are multiple taxing authorities and entities in Burke County, all of our towns and cities that issue a tax levy, our volunteer fire departments. All of those functions have a self-governing ability to set their tax rate, just like this board does as well. So in this optic, I'm simply showing a pre-revaluation versus a post-revaluation. The blue bar is the change in tax rate. So what I'd say here, by moving from 69.5 cents to 56 cents, that's roughly a 20% decrease in tax rate. So you can see on the very far left, the blue bar. The higher the blue bar, the more the organization reduced their tax rate. And you can see no one else in Burke County was able to reduce their rate proportionally as much as this board. Correspondingly, in the inverse, the orange bar is demonstrative of the growth in the levy. So the lower the orange bar, the lower the tax revenue expected growth. And that would be both from a component of natural growth, people building, buying, vehicles, those type of things, as well as revaluation. And again, you can see, as expected, the county's revenue levy was substantially lower than most of the other entities in Burke County. Yes,
And
sir.
a major variable would be that we cannot determine with any strength about it, or that's not the right word, what cost is going to be to us from year to year to year. So it's kind of sort of a game we play when we set that tax rate, is that cost for supply and services is not going to go up.
That's right. We, county government, like any corporation, has inherent cost of doing business. As part of your budget presentation last year, one of the things that I shared was just the average, the increased cost of things like insurance, so property and liability insurance, workers' comp insurance, fuel cost, basic just inflationary cost of doing business that any company in this entire county, state, and country would incur. eroded almost a full cent of our tax rate. So if we change nothing, just the inherent cost of doing business was going to erode that because of inflation. Nothing that we could do about that. So I think this is important to point out. When you look at the demographic breakdown of Burke County, roughly 50% of our community lives in an incorporated area, meaning they pay county taxes, they pay town or city taxes, and they may be also inside of a voluntary fire district at the same time. So they could have 3 taxing levels, although they get 1 taxing bill. And it's not always the most clear to tell which entity is taxing which amount. And so to me, it's important to recognize where your tax dollars are going, how they're being used. And again, the goal as we kick off the budget process here was to demonstrate to this board that your strategy of pushing the rate as low as you can has positioned you well and shifted that taxing burden. Really, it remained pretty constant. So this last slide I'll leave you with, prior to reval, or excuse me, before reval, pre-reval, Burke County's per capita taxing burden. So again, what does the average person in Burke County pay? It's about $599 per year. That was the 83rd lowest, meaning only 16 counties in North Carolina had a lower taxing burden. Post-reval, based on the policy direction of this board, that remained, we still remain at 83rd in North Carolina, and it moved from $599 per year to $622 per year. Quick math, that's $23 per year, $1.90 per month. So if you say in the most simple way, what did the county property tax burden change for the average county property taxpayer? It's about $1.90 per month. Now, again, if you culminate all of the other taxing levels, meaning volunteer fire or other towns and cities, it likely could be more. I've singled out here just what this board controls. And that last slide, we saw this one earlier, but that movement down did position you to be inside the top third of all counties in North Carolina. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll pause there. Happy to answer any questions you or the other board members may have.
All right, thank you, Brian. Any questions for Brian on any of this information? Not seeing here none. This item will remain on the agenda without objection. Thank you, sir. Item number 5, Soil and Water Department update. This will be presented by Leanne Branch. Leanne. Afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for commissioners for having us on your agenda today. My name is Leanne Branch, and this is Spencer Stock, and we make up the Soil and Water Department for Burke County. I have a PowerPoint presentation somewhere. It's not on there. Okay. So what I was going to talk to you about is I'm just going to go over the programs that we administer, and I'll show you some before and after photographs of the programs that we financially support landowners, private and ag landowners in Burke County, and then talk about some of the education programs that we do. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions about that report before? We look forward to the details at our regular meeting. Thank you very much. This brings us to item number 4, scheduled public hearings. We have one public hearing this month. This comes from Community Development Zoning Map Amendment ZMA 2023-11. Alan Glines, our planning director, will tell us all about it. Afternoon, Alan.
Happy day to you, Commissioners. Nice to see you. We have a rezoning request from Robert Stevens at his property on Snipes Street, north of Morganton on 1864, heading up to Lenoir. Mr. Stevens has had the Stevens Cabinet Shop for quite a number of years, and I understand that he's a little bit older now, and he doesn't expect to need this property for future expansion, and so he's in the last few years, been selling off his adjacent unneeded property, mostly used for residential purposes. And so he has an interested buyer for 5.37 acres and would like to be able to sell it to him and have it used residentially. That section of property is noted in red on this aerial photo, and it's currently vacant, been kind of cleared. And the next map is the current zoning map. So you see the industrial use there. At a future date, we might bring something back to the commission to kind of clean up some of the other properties that are nearby. But this it was kind of moving ahead, and we felt that we needed to go ahead and bring his forward so we wouldn't have to delay any kind of sale for this property. And this is not unlike some other properties we have around the county where someone has a family business and they're sort of, winding down, if you will, not needing to expand. So the industrial use here could go away or change over because the area surrounding it has also changed. There's been a lot of residential growth in this part of the county. So this will be your public hearing. The planning board did support it, and we do recommend making a adjustment to the land use map to be residential from. If you decide to move forward with the rezoning, is that we'll adjust the map as well, so it supports residential for future land use there. To answer any questions for you?
All right, thank you, Alan. Any questions for Alan on this matter?
Just one quick question. How do we determine, and I'm sure, I know it was in the application requesting R3, but how does the planning board determine what's the best use between R2, R3 on the residential side?
Well, the R3 is kind of found throughout that area. If we could scroll down to the map that shows current zoning. R3 is one of our flexible residential zoning districts. It allows stick-built, single-family homes, allows modulars, allows single wides and double wides. So it's really flexible. And in certain parts of the county, we've found that has worked pretty well. They're such a mixed housing type of district area. And so we want to make sure that what we bring in there is going to be compatible or supportable from the neighboring uses.
Other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you, Alan. This item will remain on the agenda. This brings us to item 5, consent agenda. I have several items today. First item comes from the sheriff, resolution authorizing sale of county-issued service sidearm and badge. I don't believe I've seen the sheriff. Any questions that we can relay? Everybody okay with that item? All right, seeing here none, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Item number 2 comes from Burke County Public Schools, presentation of financial data for the period ending December 31, 2023. And Mr. Lawson is out of town today, and any questions that we need to relay to him? Otherwise, he'll plan to be with us at our regular meeting to go over his financial report. Seeing here none, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Item number 3, Western Piedmont Community College, presentation of financial data for the period ending December 31, 2023. Sandy, it's good to see you back. It's been a while.
It is good to be back. Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I want to give you a brief summary of our finances through December 31st for Western Piedmont Community College. And the first 3 columns, as you're used to seeing, are our state funds. Our total budget through December is $15,829,541, and we have spent approximately 49.2% through the midpoint of the year. This is a little higher percentage for the midpoint, but we're keeping a close eye on that. And you can also see even the additional funding designated for approved projects below. We have a lot of different projects going on, mainly around customized training and apprenticeships that we're actively working through. The next 3 columns is the county budget and expenditures, and we have spent approximately 46.3% of our county budget. That is fairly in line with what we have in past years. We do have some larger purchases coming up and some projects the last half of the year that we do anticipate utilizing all of the county budget and possibly a small amount of the fund balance, but we are in good shape with our county funding. The last three columns is our institutional funds, and we had budgeted $6,145,228 for the year. Again, that's anything other than state and county funds, so any grants that run through the college, student financial aid, self-supporting, our bookstore, things of that nature. And we have spent 56%. Again, that's pretty much in line because a lot of this is financial aid, and most of that is in the summer and the fall. So you do spend more of your financial aid midway through the year. Our total combined budget for the college is $24,880,473, and we have spent approximately half of our budget for the year. The next slide in your package shows just the county expenditures broken down by categories. This is nothing new. It's still the top three categories are our salaries and benefits at 28.6%, our utilities at 21.7%, and then repairs and maintenance at 17.5%. Those are normally our top three categories for our county funding. Just some other items that I wanted to mention while I was here is our enrollment at the college is trending in the right direction. We're getting close to pre-pandemic levels, so we're getting back to that. We had a 7% increase in the summer, an estimated 4% for the fall, and an estimated 2% for this spring for curriculum. So we are definitely headed in the right direction. Our skilled trades building opened. I think most of you have been there and been through that building. We have seen an increase from 8 to 10 students in previous year to 27 students this year, and anticipate a lot more coming through. Our bookstore manager has taken on the project of reopening our cafe on campus. Our vending service could not make that work with their expenditures and needs, so our bookstore manager has done that for the spring semester, and our students and employees are very appreciative of that. It's a kind of light menu, waffles, pizza, that comfort food, but they are enjoying having the food options on campus versus just vending. And then our emergency service training center project is on track. We, at the city council meeting Monday, the land swap has been completed or is in the process of being completed. And so we hope to have a groundbreaking sometime in the May timeframe. Still working through the design development with the architects and state construction. And then our cosmetology, we are relocating that from the Magnolia Center over there next to Rural King to our Cade building, which will be on campus. That will save us the lease. We're going fairly slow with that, so it's still going to be approximately 1.5 to 2 years, but we'll get that on the main campus. And then just around campus, our landscaping and grounds maintenance, they have been doing a phenomenal job of making sure the campus looks great. And in that respect, this year is our 60th anniversary, so we'll have some things throughout the year, but in April there will be a week of events, and we hope to see you on campus to help us celebrate our 60 years here in Burke County. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the finance piece of the meeting.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Any questions?
How much is your utilities and insurance and salaries going up since last year?
Salaries, the salary increase was 4% this year. Retirement went up, I want to say close to 3%. Utilities has not went up a great deal. I would say it's went up about 2 to 3%. Really hasn't went up much this winter because so far, knock on wood, we haven't had a really cold winter. And really last summer was not exceptional either. So I'd say about 2% is what that has went up. Insurance did not go up much last year, went up about 2%. And we anticipate that that's going to stay close to the same. But we're still looking at that and checking with our premiums as we're working on the budget for next year.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else?
On the salary increases, is any of that supported by grant funds?
On the county side, no.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Sandy.
Thank you. Have a
Hearing
great day.
No concerns. This item will remain on the consent agenda. And gentlemen, I think I said Keith and the sheriff would be with us, but this is a consent item unless there's a need or demand for those guys to be here for consent, unless there's questions during consent. Everybody good with that? Thank you. Item number 4, County Manager, Budget Amendment number 7, Library, presented by our County Manager. And I see our Director here also.
Yes, sir. Jim may have more to add, but annually, counties in North Carolina get state aid from the state library system. It's an estimate during the budget process. This year, we're thankful we received excess funding for what we budgeted in the amount of $33,319. And so budget amendment number 7 is a request to budget that, and it'll be used for books and circulation acquisitions. Jim may have more to add, but we're thankful for the state contribution and asking the board for that budget amendment.
All right, thank you, sir. That item was in your agenda package. Any questions on that item? All right, thank you very much. Without objection, that will remain. Item number 5, Tax Department Tax Collection Report for January 2024. This will be presented by John Bridgers, our Tax Administrator. Afternoon, John.
Yeah, we got
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the collections report, year-to-date for property taxes, we have collected $50,269,530.98. That is 95.39% of the budget amount, and we have $2,430,046.02 yet to collect. Motor vehicle taxes, we have collected $194,667.09. That is 51.53% of the budget amount, leaving a balance to collect of $3,005,332.91. For current year taxes, we have collected $53,464,198.07. That is 90.77% of the budget amount, leaving a balance to collect of $5,435,378.93. Delinquent taxes, we have collected $501,724.33, 71.67% of the budget amount, leaving a balance to collect of $198,275.67. Penalties and interest, we have collected $203,538.86, leaving a balance to collect, that's 61.88% of the budget amount, leaving a balance to collect of $125,417.14. For the overall levy, we have collected $50,269,530.98, leaving, being 93.36% of the budget amount, leaving the balance to collect of $738.18. Any questions?
Thank you, John. Any questions? Hearing none, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Item number 6, also from the Tax Department, Release Refund Report for January 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The report amount is $10,066.31. Of that, we rebilled $5,891.78 with a net release of $4,174.53 with no refunds. And for the NCVTS, refunds over $100, we refunded $307.79. Any questions?
Questions on this report?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a quick comment, just to brag a little bit. I had someone call me this past week that had an issue with taxes. They came to your office absolutely loaded for bear in his description, ready to let you guys have it. And he said he was met with the most welcoming and kind and helpful environment that he said I couldn't say a word bad. So I just want to say thank you for taking care of our folks when they come to see you.
Well, thank you, sir. It's always great to hear that kind of news. We do have a taxing job to do.
Thank you, John. Without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. Item 6, items for decision, have couple items. First one comes from the county manager, approval of auditor and contract for audit services. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Statutorily, annually, this board has to review and approve an audit contract. That's a component that's regulated again by the local government commission, our financial oversight body. The county has not really explored in a competitive way our audit relationship in some time. There's currently an RFP posted. We are forming an audit committee, which our chairman has agreed to serve on. And between now and the 20th, we'll interview qualified firms that are submitting a proposal and bring a recommendation back to this board.
Okay, gentlemen, you've seen the services proposal information in your package. Any questions concerning that? All right, seeing here none, this item will remain on the items for decision. Second item comes from our Health Department, resolution directing expenditure of opioid settlement funds for a number of uses. And this will be presented by Katie Barnavale, our Human Services Planner. Afternoon. There you go.
All right. So I have before you a spending resolution for opioid settlement funds, and this includes 4 items, all from option A of the MOA for the use of opioid settlement funding. All of these go towards collaborative strategic planning, and with the long-term goal of finalizing a long-term spending plan for the use of opioid settlement funds. So the first one is the development of our Peers Partnering for Excellence Committee. So this is a group of people that we've coordinated that are peer supports or potential peer supports that live and work in Burke County. And all of the individuals in this group are boots on the ground. They're often volunteers, they're working in the field, they have firsthand knowledge of what's going on in the community. So this group will serve to inform our strategic plan as well as be a recovery advisory board to offer recommendations to the Board of Health and to the Board of Commissioners. And so I'm pleased to say that some of our members from PPE are here today, and you all came out to show your support for Recovery Court. So Lisa and Taylor are here from Recovery Court, and we have Tracy, who is sitting in the back. Tracy is it the first in the States, or PALS group, Parents of Addicted Loved Ones. So she has a support group for parents that need access to resources, need an ear to listen to. So we have all of these amazing people that have been living and working in Burke County and volunteering, coming together to share resources and to advocate for the needs of the community. So I'm really proud of this. This is the first in the state. All of my research, I haven't found another opioid settlement expenditure that supports the formation of a peer support, networking, and professional development group. So I'm really, really proud to present that to you all. And thank you all for coming. So next we have a qualitative research project, which will be a video project that will also inform our strategic plan, but will also serve as a platform for us to demonstrate that recovery is possible. A lot of the people that I encounter, I think they've lost hope that people can get in recovery. So we want to tell those stories of recovery and give people hope that the things that we're doing will work, and they are working. And we have people that will tell their story and demonstrate that. The next is consulting services for the finalization of the collaborative strategic plan and the long-term spending plan. So that will look like a recommendation to you at the end of that process of a long-term collaborative strategic plan. And also comprehensive evaluation plan with outcome reporting. So you'll have that long-term plan brought before you for approval, and with it an evaluation plan and a plan for us to be reporting and tracking outcomes for the interventions that you all select. And then the last item on the resolution is funding for the overdose fatality review, and this funding supports technology that we can use to collect and analyze our overdose and opioid use indicators.
All right, thank you, Katie. Gentlemen, any
Thank you.
questions for Katie on these items?
Can you please inform the board how much money we received so far, the 2 tranches that we received, and how much we're spending out of that? County Manager might have to answer that.
So this request is for a total of $126,500. To date, we've allocated $310,000. So Margaret, you'll have to verify it for me, but I believe that we have close to $3 million with last year's deposits and this year's deposits. And that is also public information on the opioid settlement dashboard. You can go on there and see the approved expenditures, how much those are, and the remaining amount, and also the deposit schedule. So that's public information for anybody to look at.
Tell us where that dashboard is, Katie.
Pardon me?
Tell us where that dashboard is.
It's ncopioidsettlement.com.
I'm sure the Google can get us there.
Yeah, if you Google NC opioid settlement dashboard, it'll bring up the metrics, and you can even break it down by county, so we can look at overdoses by county. And that is, I think, 2022, 2023 overdose rates, and some other metrics that you can track by county and by the state to see how we compare, and also the spending dashboards and the local spending plans. So you can also go on there and look at how other counties are spending their opioid settlement dollars also.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to report that we held the first One More Thing committee meeting here in Burke County with most of the members of the committee in attendance. I think we had 2 on Zoom, but everybody else came to Burke County. We had just a resounding about 5 hours of conversation about the monies and how they're going to be spent. I can assure you that our next meeting is in Durham, where we have invited Eddie Caldwell from the Sheriff's Association, along with a number of sheriffs. There is somewhat of a disconnect in our sheriff's offices and jails about what constitutes treatment in the jail, what constitutes classification in the jail, and what you'll find out is most jails don't have a classification program. People are just somewhat piled in together. There is this thought process of some sheriffs that you just lock them up and throw away the key without any treatment whatsoever. So MAT, the medically assisted treatment programs, that will be discussed in earnest when we have our meeting in Durham next month, and the sheriffs will be there. Here's the one important thing you need to know. Katie Vornado, Dr. Katie Vornado, has set a bar in North Carolina that's going to be hard to reach. The committee has been apprised of what Katie has done here in Burke County, and people say, how did you do that? Well, it's because everybody here had the good common sense to allow her to come in and present us with a program that works. And these people sitting right back here knows that it works. I've been with these people. They understand. I got to go last Friday down to Brunswick County and make a presentation on One More Thing to 6 different Rotary clubs plus some health departments down there, and they're just absolutely in awe of what Dr. Vornado has done here in Burke County. She deserves more than what we can give her, but she is the catalyst in North Carolina right now. She's number 1, and I want Burke County to continue to be in the forefront. And we need that support to remain in the forefront of this cause. I hope nobody else has to bury their child.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Thank you, Katie. All right, this brings us to item number 7, reports. I'll remind you to, if you have any reports that need to get in our package for our regular meeting, please get those to the clerk as soon as you can. A few reminders, February the 8th, we have a special meeting at 8:15 a.m. That is Thursday morning at 8:15. We'll have some breakfast starting at 7:30, so please keep that in mind if you want to join us for breakfast. February the 20th, our regular meeting at 6 o'clock. Remind you to adopt and foster pets, pick up trash. Have a grand opening coming for our East Burke Waste and Recycling Convenience Center on February 23rd at 2 p.m. And that's at 2350 U.S. Highway 70 in Conley Springs. And then I want to extend our condolences to the Spring Williams Bird family. in the passing of her father in the last few days. And want to thank our assistant clerk for being with us today, Kay, or Kat, for Kay, Kat, that's getting me mixed up. Thank you for helping us today in the absence of Kay. And I don't think we have any other items for discussion, and I think with that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. That's 4-0. Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone being here today.